Hello everybody. Today is March 17th, 2019. I can be found on YouTube under Teeth of the Lamb, all one word, or on Facebook under just Steve Matthews. Today I'd like to talk about some observations that I've made over the last couple of days while recording the moon. I started out just taking pictures every hour or so of the moon and doing comparisons. Then I decided to go ahead and start doing a video recording between the photo shots that I took. And I want to tell you what I saw when I looked at the video recordings. First off, I was able to capture another one of the backwards rotations of the face of the moon. And secondly, I was able to detect the motion of the moon as it crosses the sky, that it moves at variations of speed, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. And I think I can confirm that. So it just appears everything that they've told us about the moon just continually appears to be wrong. It's possible that these speed variations that the moon has as it crosses the sky, it's possible that that's a product of a very close and low altitude moon coming toward us, crossing our vantage point, and then going off into the distance, and you might see variations in speed because of that. You decide. And the observations that I've made, they're not debates. So for the naysayers that are going to go wild and go warpath, don't bother to leave me comments that don't fit with what I believe. And I've changed my mind. I no longer believe that we're on a spinning ball in a vacuum. I believe that we're on a flat, stationary Earth. The moon and sun are close, and the stars, they rotate around the surface of the Earth. And if you had about 4 days free, I could start telling you the multitude of reasons that I no longer believe that we're on a spinning ball. So there are so many reasons, and the variation in speed in the moon, the rotation of the face of the moon, the backwards rotation of the face of the moon, these are just tips of the iceberg of what I believe. And it confirms what I believe. The same people that say the moon doesn't rotate and it's all an illusion and it's a figment of my imagination and I'm crazy are the same ones that tell me that the sun is much, much larger than the Earth and far, far away, and it's crazy to think anything else. Well, no, it's not, because we have no evidence that it's far, far away. When we look out at the sun, we see it is the same size as the moon. And these same people that tell me are trying to convince me that water curves around a ball. I don't believe that. Everything and all evidence says that water is flat and will seek level at any cost. So those are just a few little examples of why I believe that we're no longer on a ball. I believe that God is true and that what he says is completely accurate, and everything that I've been looking at over this last year and a half have substantiated everything that God said and not what man says. So go somewhere else, make your comments about you're crazy, the moon doesn't move, and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it, and I'll delete your comment. So there you have it. So for those that are truly interested here, what I've done is on the video recordings between photo shots that I took the other day, I took the video and placed it in my movie editing software, and I had noticed that some of them seemed to be faster and some seemed to be slower. So I took a ruler and modified it a PNG ruler, so it's an overlay, and I placed it on the video, lining it up with from one side of the screen to the other, and then I placed a picture-in-picture, and I did the same thing with the ruler, and I stretched it across the screen so it's exactly on the edges, and then I've rotated it to the angle of the travel of the moon, and made several different recordings like that. Actually, I had about 30 minutes worth, and I truncated that down to about 12 because it just gets boring. But the point is, this is something easy to do for yourself. You can record some video of the moon and then take that. The snippets are only about a minute and a half to 3 minutes long, and because you have to keep moving your screen. I mean, you're aiming your camera because the moon is moving. So you can do this real easy yourself to get footage to test, and you can do it in the same way I'm doing it. You'll see real quick here what I've done. But as those moons go across the ruler, you can see that just in a minute and a half to 2 minutes, it's losing on one about 1/8 of an inch. And that's a very small snippet of time. And if was able to keep my camera aimed at the moon constantly, it would be even worse, because over a longer period of time it would get worse. The distance would be greater between the one traveling fast and one traveling slow. So also I was able to capture the backward motion, and I'll show you the picture of that. So I think we'll just get right into that here now, and I'll show you what I found. And again, you can test this for yourself. I'm just pointing it out so people can be aware of it, and I'm not going to argue the point that I may have had my ruler on there just a speck wrong or at the wrong angle. It's good enough for me, and if you want more, you can. If you want it more meticulous, each of you should try to do this yourself and confirm in your own mind. So first I'm going to show you the overlay of the backwards motion. This all occurred within a 2-hour period. I haven't had time to go back and review the video during that time frame to see if it was really fast or if it took a while. I also modified these slightly because they were too light. Daytime pictures aren't very good for overlaying. You can't see. But I wanted you to see the crater. You can see the dim, the transparency that's over the top. That's taken, well, you have the dates there. One's taken on the 16th, and one's on the, let's see, both taken on the 15th. And so the same day, and you can see that this top one has moved backward about a half of the Sea of Crises on the top, that dark round crater near the top there. That's what I'm watching. And so it's moved backwards. It should be going clockwise, and that's most of the time what we see is a clockwise rotation. Now, this isn't possible if it was field rotation. You can't have a backwards motion. This is what Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive, has been looking at also. He's down in the Salton Sea right now doing some testing. Okay, here's my random speed test. I just took random clips out of the videos that I've taken and started the moon right at the beginning on 0 on both of these. And again, these rulers were adjusted side to side horizontally on each screen, so they should be the same, same size. Now, I've done quite a few of these. Like I said, I had like 30 minutes of them, and sometimes they're exactly the same speed, but other times, like this, they end up being about 1/8 of an inch is about standard for the variation of speed. But if you take any one of these pictures, the daytime one or the at dusk, and you duplicate it and put the same ruler setup here, it ends up exactly on the dot. So I can tell that the speed is right, and the ruler is correct also, because otherwise it would be off also. But so we're seeing in about 1.5 to 3 minutes, because none of these are any longer, but I have to keep adjusting my screen on my camera to as the moon moves off the screen. So it's only on the screen for about 1.5 to 3 minutes, depending on which angle it's going. But you can just watch this and see for yourself that these are going at different speeds. You may have to pause it at the end of them. And I do get some movement from the wind. I can't get the tripod to stop that. I've got a good tripod, and I've got a P1000, but when it stops blowing, it just evens out. But the camera and the tripod aren't moving. But I do get a little bit of wind shake. We'll just watch these. Anyway, the rest of this video is about 5 of these examples. And again, I think that's sufficient. And I think I'll go ahead and put a link below for if you want this ruler. It's a PNG. It's a transparent PNG that you can overlay over video. If you want this ruler, I'll leave a link that you can just download it off the cloud. And I encourage all of you to get out and try these things for yourself, because we're finding evidence of something vastly different than what the schools and the astronomers and stuff are telling us. Speed variations are a major thing. That moon, when it went backwards, the Sea of Crises moved backwards. The Sea of Crises is about 315 miles across, so they say. So that would translate down into about around 150 miles. That's not insignificant on the surface of the moon. And if the moon is smaller, it doesn't matter. It's still moving backwards. So it can't do these things in the heliocentric model. And I don't know what to make of it all. I don't think NASA even knows how the moon functions and stuff, and I think it frustrates them. And so they make up a bunch of garbage because they don't want to sound like they aren't all supreme and know-it-alls. They want to be godlike. But you'll find that these break down into about 1/8 of an inch of difference. And like I said, I had a lot of them that were the same. But at these times when I did random clips from my video, I found quite a few where the variation of speed was different. And also on the same day. Okay, I'll just let these play. If you want to review them, you can skip forward and look at the results of each one. If not, then I think this is good for this video. Have a darn nice day. So I just want to add one more thing here. Just remember that these aren't over 2 or 3 minutes long, and some are only 1.5 minutes. And if we're detecting that much variation in speed, given more time, that speed would be more significant. We're just getting a short, very small snippet of the travel of the moon in these, and it's still detectable, meaning that it's actually a major thing over a vast distance. Just wanted to point that out. It would exponentially get to be a greater distance between the slow and the fast moon.